Hello everyone and namaste. This is Dr. Suryanaryana Raju. Welcome you all to one of my another web talks, Virtual Learning Made Easy, providing innovative solutions with root cause analysis for crucial crunches. Friends, at the outset, let me congratulate all the teaching fraternity for starting their online courses for our regular courses. Despite the university, institution throughout the country, now we are passing through online courses, what you call virtual mode of learning and also called remote mode of learning. As you all know, as a part of our online educational research, we are trying our best to identify the typical issues or problems what generally we face or we are coming across once we are passing through this particular online educational process or teaching learning process. So as a part of this, and we are trying our best to look over what are the actual reasons for getting this kind of problems as far as they are from the teacher side or from the learner side, and we are trying our best to provide the solutions for this kind of crunches or what you call these issues so that we can make this kind of virtual mode of learning or remote mode of learning as one of the best approaches almost on par with conventional mode. So recently, almost for the last 1 month or maybe around 20 days, and we have been coming across different issues, and just we had a kind of survey, and based on this survey, we identified certain issues or what you call this kind of challenges or the problems. So that is why we gone through this kind of issues and we found out some sort of root causes, what are the reasons for this kind of issues, and we are trying our best to provide this kind of apt solutions so that we can pacify these kind of challenges. So this particular web talk is about the providing the best solutions or what you call the suggesting the best solutions for the recently identified issues during our survey. So let us start our web talk, and let me share my presentation with sharing my screen. So friends, let me tell you the preamble of this particular program. If you look at any development or advancement, whether it is of science or whether it is of technology, generally all these kind of advantages are also being associated at least with some sort of disadvantages. Of course, you have so many examples. You can say number of examples regarding this particular thing. And one of the best examples I can say is the climate change. The climate change is nothing but a kind of most globally focused disadvantage, and almost we can say that it is a kind of disadvantage associated with lots of advantages. So it is one example I want to tell. So like that, there are so many examples or cases which everybody must know. And the same is the case with the e-learning or the virtual learning. Virtual learning, as you all know, this is very, very important and a new normal at this particular present situation. And this virtual learning is also not an exception to this particular kind of statement. So that means even if you look at this kind of virtual learning, it is also having lots of advantages and at the same time some disadvantages associated with this. But I mean, these disadvantages are nothing but a kind of challenges or problems we are facing. But thing is, we need to have a lot of focus on these disadvantages. We should mitigate them in a better way so that we can continue our process, or if possible, we should ensure that all these disadvantages should also be converted into advantages. So that is the focus of this particular talk. So if you look at this kind of advantages, let me remind you, the best you can say that we are having a lot of flexibility as far as this kind of process is concerned. Whether they're teachers or the learners, they are psychologically comfort because there is no physical contact. And even if you look at this kind of institutions, and there is no prompt physical infrastructure to be provided for this kind of process. And as I already told you, minimal expenditure and physical distancing, everything, these are all a few to say whatever these kind of advantages of this e-learning is concerned. And at the same time, we can also look at the different disadvantages during this particular process. I think you must have also faced these kind of disadvantages or challenges or the problems, whatever you can call. And soon after you started this regular mode of online teaching for your conventional courses. So this is what, in fact, my preamble to focus on these kind of challenges or the disadvantages we are having during this particular process and how to mitigate this particular problem. This is the preamble. Yes, coming for this, during this particular recent survey, almost for the last 20 days or 25 days, at our keen observation, we identified 10 different issues, right from the different capacity of learners and different capacity of the instructors. Like educators, if you look at this, and what you call this capital low experience, medium level experience, and higher level experience, and the learners, slow learners, medium learners, fast learners. So by considering all these kind of things, and as of now, we identified 10 different kind of issues, and I'm trying my best to suggest a kind of solution for all these kind of 10 problems, whatever we observe. So now let us see one by one. Yes, this is the first problem what we have identified. E-learning, that is the virtual learning, is absolutely creating a kind of social isolation. That means isolation among the students. Students are absolutely feeling isolation. Why in fact the students are absolutely feeling isolation? If you look at this, we are taking these particular classes from different respective places. The students are having their own, sitting at their own respective places. So there is no absolute intimacy among the students. There is no absolute intimacy among the students and the teachers. So it is creating a kind of isolation. And we can also say that it is a kind of remoteness the students are facing, and the lack of what you call interaction among these kind of peers. That is very, very important. Students really enjoy the classrooms once they are along with their peers, and once they are directly exposed to this kind of teachers in person. And this is not happening. That is the reason we say that the e-learning is creating a kind of a social isolation for the entire team who are participating in this particular thing. And another important thing is that whether if you look at this kind of teachers and the students, absolutely they are participating in this kind of online sessions. That is the reason they are also having a kind of lack of human communication at outside, and that is why this particular virtual learning, it is creating a social isolation. So this is one of the problems, and everyone, I think you must have identified. Okay, how to solve this problem? So my suggestion is, we need to first of all identify what are the different signs of isolation among the students. That means we have different kinds of students hailing from different social backgrounds, maybe from remote areas, urban areas, and different attitudes. So definitely the different students will be having different kind of what you call emotional feelings. So first of all, how these students are feeling isolation and why these students are feeling isolation. And at the same time, I can also say, whether you accept or not, being the teachers, we are also feeling isolation sometimes. It is a kind of emotional thing we have to find out. So the thing is, as I already keep on telling you, that this particular online learning methodology is only what you call mostly the student-centric method. We should concentrate more on students. So that is why the students are feeling isolation and how the students are feeling isolation. What are these kind of mental causes, the representation for this kind of isolation? That is the first thing. And immediately we should have a kind of focus on promoting interaction between the students via online. No problem, we are having this kind of mode via online, and we should create a kind of platform, and we should identify the path by means of which, in fact, how the students can interact among themselves. That is a interaction among these peers. That is very important. Next one, we should slowly try to implement this blended learning environment, and we should have a kind of augmentation of blended learning environment. And you may be asking how it is possible for blended learning environment. We need to make the students into the different groups, because now the lockdown has been lifted off, and of course education institutions are asked to shut till September 30th, but it doesn't mean that students should not come to the institution and faculty should not come to the institution. And at the request of us, and they can intimate to their parents, and they can also come to these classes or thing, so that simply a kind of blended kind of approach with the small groups we have to create. And slowly we need to augment this kind of blended environment so that it avoids this kind of isolation, socialization among the students. Or even this kind of blended learning environment you can also provide via this kind of online. How it is possible? Because we will be giving some sort of group kind of exercises among the students. They can work out together and they can produce the thing, so that the students will be working together as peers, and which will definitely elevate this kind of feeling of isolation. That means the creation of social isolation by e-learning should be considered as one of the and almost the prior problems, and we can root out by using these three concepts. Yes, this is the second problem. This e-learning or virtual learning, if you see, it does require self-motivation. This is very, very important. And at the same time, it does require skilled time management among the learners. If you look at this kind of thing, and there are so many MOOCs, and there are excellent and very good platforms as far as online mode is concerned. But thing is, if you look at this kind of MOOCs, one of the biggest problems in MOOCs is the dropout percentage. Student dropout percentage is huge in many of the cases. If you look at Coursera, if you look at the Swayam, and so many students are even the teachers, they must have registered, but they won't appear for the examinations. Or slowly the attendance will go down. This is one of the biggest problems. Thing is, it does require self-motivation. That means the learners and the teacher, everyone should create a kind of self-motivation, so that this e-learning should be more attracting platform. And another important thing is, if you look at this kind of a traditional mode of education or the conventional classes, generally we'll be having face-to-face interactions with our students. So what actually you do, we almost a kind of pressurization we create among the students. It's a kind of motivation among the students to make them to work towards their kind of goals. So that means in our presence, the students will be getting a kind of activation, and the students will be promoted or forwarded towards their kind of goals, so that they will be having some sort of time bounds, and they will be working according to the schedules. And this is one of the very important aspects. So all these things will be happening most probably in time bound skills. But because of this kind of online, it is not being happened. So we are not able to make the students to create a kind of time-bound aspects. So that means the students are also feeling lag. A kind of lethargy is also being developed. That is one of the reasons, and they are not concentrating on this kind of time aspects. So this skilled time management among the students is also getting down. So to make this kind of e-learning success, we need to have self-motivation, and our students should develop skilled time management. So how can you mitigate this? First of all, we need to build a strong self-motivation. That means teachers should have more emphasis on creation of self-motivation attitude among the students. That means this is very, very important aspect every teacher should concentrate. Like personal touch with all the students. I prefer that we should not, it's not advisable to call the students with their roll numbers or all. And it's always advisable to call with their names, so that the students will be having a special feeling and special appreciation, and that sensitively he will be feeling that yes, I have been already being noticed by my teacher. So it creates a kind of motivation. So we need to build strong self-motivation among the students. Next one, discipline is very, very important. Even if you look at this kind of e-learning, and it is an observation that the students, they are attending the classes even without a proper dress. I don't mean that the student should have tuck-in shirt and tie, something like that. But at least they should be comfortably informal, so that it creates a kind of discipline among the students. So that's what, in fact, even the teachers, they should have well dressed, and they should try to talk to the students or try to teach the students via online. So because its physical appearance is very, very important. So like that, once we are able to make the students to promote a kind of discipline like this, it's a kind of discipline is also a kind of skill. So that will also help us to create a kind of self-motivation and this skill time management. Next one, the teachers, we need to implement face-to-face communication between the students via online. That means we need to create a platform. One student will have an opportunity to talk to another student via online. That is very, very important. The students and students should have a kind of um, opportunity to talk to each other. It elevates and it provides a kind of a special inspiration among the students, because a student can touch their friend to a big extent, almost in some cases even better than a teacher. So face-to-face communication among the students and face-to-face communication between the teacher and students will have a kind of better impact to avoid this kind of problem. Next, we need to increase peer activities via online. This is very important problem. This is very important session. Peer activities. Students must be exposed. They must be given assignments or any special works to work along with their peers, so that they can share their ideas. The sharing of ideas will not only elevate the knowledge, they can give a kind of a special motivation among the students. So we need to increase peer activities via online. This is another important aspect. Yes, this is very important problem. We observe that e-learning or this virtual learning facilitating only very, very limited student feedback. Student feedback is very, very important. This is very, very less. Almost 95% of the students are getting dissatisfaction because there is no proper customized feedback in this kind of online mode. This is very crucial thing. Even in many of the situations, even in conventional mode of teaching also, it is lack. But we expect, and I expect personally, that it is happening. Because if you look at this kind of traditional classes, we will always be with the students. Students are always with the class, their faculty or the teachers. So in case the student is having any kind of doubt, or they want any kind of additional explanation, and we'll be physically ready for that. If it is not happening, or if it is not being possible in the classrooms, and there are certain time schedules in the college hours that the students can talk to their teachers, and at the same time teachers can also reflect in a positive way to the students, so that a kind of feedback is being given to the students. Let's say, for example, if you are giving any assignment, if you are giving any test, if a particular student is having any kind of doubt, that clarification must be facilitated by the instructor to the teacher. Where in the conventional mode, most probably we expect that such kind of things are happening, but it is very lag in this online mode. So that's what we call limited student feedback is one of the biggest problems in this kind of virtual mode. How to avoid this? We need to develop peer student feedback mechanism. This is very, very important. That means once in the earlier stage, I already told that we need to develop some sort of peer activities among the students. So among these peers, one student will give feedback on the performance of the other student, and vice versa. So that at their particular level itself, students will be having better reflections about their kind of performances, knowledge levels, and gaining attitude, everything. So we need to develop a kind of peer student feedback mechanism. Very, very important. Whether it is conventional mode also, this is very, very important. And of course, I feel that it may be in very maximum, below 5% of the institutions may be following this kind of peer student feedback mechanism. It is very important, especially in online. Next one, we need to implement formal and informal feedbacks. Of course, we are having standardized formulations to collect the feedback. So once we are collecting the feedback, then what else we are doing? We need to reflect on that particular feedback. We should give that particular reflection to that particular student. And this particular feedback should be both in formal and informal way. We will have a formal ways, and informal way also we need to have the feedback. And this kind of mechanism, it should be for both learners as well as the instructors. Mostly in institutions, generally this kind of feedback, they focus only on the teachers, but we are not concentrating on the students. So in both the ways, we need to implement this kind of formal and informal feedbacks, and it should be transparent, and it should be well tabulated. It gives the better, what you call the rapport, and better positive reflection. Next one, very frequently we need to have video charts by teachers with the students. This is very, very important. Video charts, or you can also call it as the live interaction, which is another very, very important aspect to consider to avoid this kind of feedback problem. Because without feedback and without having a reflection on the feedback, no process will success. This is another important problem we identified, and these are the best solution for this. This is the fourth problem: lack of communication skill development among the students. It is, I think everybody are observing this particular thing. Lack of communication skill development. Communication is one of the important skills as far as interpersonal skills are concerned. Because of this virtual learning, students are suffering, or students are being observed with the lack of communication skill development. This skill has to be automatically developed. It's not happening in this kind of e-learning. This is another big problem. Because if the students are getting down in this kind of communication skill development, in future, maybe in the placements or in other aspects, they will become bad. So this is very, very important. Why in fact it is happening? No doubt, e-learning is creating one of the very, very best approaches as far as domain knowledge is concerned, domain knowledge development is concerned. Maybe you are going for this kind of what you call synchronous mode or asynchronous mode. If you are giving any video lectures and all, and it is at the flexibility of the students. They can access like anything. So definitely they can repeatedly look at your lectures, they can get better material, and they can also have an access of the separate video lectures via other links. Definitely it will be enhancing our technical development, but the interaction is less. That is the reason the communication skill development is getting lag. So how to mitigate this? Best reasons: peer activities. We need to develop peer-to-peer group activities. We should design the students. We should what you call this kind of divide the students into different groups. I call it as student learning groups. Well, so maybe consisting of 4 students at the maximum. Generally, it will be happening at what you call this kind of laboratory sessions or project sessions, something like that. But for all the sessions, for all regular activities, the students should be divided into the best groups. That's what student learning groups. So if you are giving the student learning groups, if you are giving activities via this kind of student learning groups, definitely the peer-to-peer group activity will be elevated. And that is one of the reasons by which, in fact, we can uplift this kind of communication skill among the students. And this is another important thing is we need to organize student-led talks, mostly in virtual mode. Only the teachers are talking to the students, but no student is delivering anything. So we should schedule in our timetables that the students should organize and the students should give the talks. That is very important. Or else, if you keep on going on like that, as far as teaching is concerned, when student will speak, that is one of the important issues to consider, that we need to organize student lead talks in a positive way. It doesn't mean that we should not escape our way. We should not escape our duty. We should complete our duty. We should complete our lesson, something like that, something like that. And apart from that, we should go for organize. So student lead talks or student led talks in the sense, and it doesn't mean that we should escape our classes and we should give our classes to the students. So both are different, and this is very important. And online lectures with emphasis on communication. Communication by the teachers. This is very, very important. We should be very cautious as far as our communication is concerned while we deliver the lectures or while we deliver the talks. So we need to adapt this kind of global communication, because all these technical or scientific, everything, these are all in only global communication, or what you call this kind of global language. So that is why teachers should have more emphasis on their communication apart from their technical or any kind of domain skills. So these are very important things we need to concentrate to avoid this kind of lack in the communication skill development among the students. So friends, this is the 5th problem, very, very important problem. And it's not only the case with the learners. In many cases, it is difficulty in prevention of cheating in online assessments or online assignments. Very big problem. Why, in fact, I am telling you, let us say, for example, you are giving any kind of assignment, if you are giving any kind of tests and all, and the students will be taking in their own environments. We do not know what they are actually happening and what are their conditions, because we are not having any kind of video monitoring. So though there is no proctoring, there is no online monitoring. So that is why there is a big issue that the students may also adapt a kind of cheating in submission of assessments, what you call this assignments or tests, any kind of things. I'm sorry to say, in some cases, there is a possibility that even third party may also have a kind of attempt to this kind of assessments. So the assessment is getting very difficulty, and mostly it is getting very difficult in prevention of this kind of cheating, because this kind of online assessments, we doubt about this kind of reliability and what you call this kind of quality. So This is the biggest problem. How to avoid this? We need to go for online proctoring system. That is what we call as examity. Examity in the sense we'll have the continual video monitoring. So as and when a student, whether they are starting with a laptop or the desktop or a tab, whatever it may be, they should have no other access. That's what we generally do in the online proctoring system. And we also need to implement a kind of automated ID verification system. Automated ID verification system. Here, artificial intelligence will play a very important role. So technology, we need to implement as far as this kind of cheating in online assessments is concerned. Because if the assessment is not being done properly, there is no question, there is no meaning evaluation. There is no meaning in evaluation. So at the outset, we cannot really assess the quality, or we cannot estimate the quality. It will be another biggest problem. And next, we can also adapt, we can also apply machine learning process for detection of fraudulent test takers. That's what third-party people attending for this examination. So this is one of the biggest problems. Of course, in many of the things, or many of the teachers must not have faced, because they must have started classes very early. And this is one of the biggest problems. That is the reason many of the organizations are unable to conduct these examinations as usual, except at their particular testing agencies. Because this video monitoring is very, very important. So this is another important issue as far as our online problems are concerned. Next, friends, very important aspect, mostly every faculty will accept with my feelings, that there is a huge focus on theory rather than practice. Even in the timetables, mostly I feel that we have only this kind of theoretical subjects. Nobody is having any kind of practical course inclusion. One of the biggest problems are assumptions that, yes, because of this physical distancing, let us complete this course first. Let us complete this theory first. Then, once all the theory will be over, then we will be focused on laboratories. Once we enter into our colleges or something like that. How long it takes? How long you can expect that, when you can expect our institutions to start with full strength of students? Not sure. Because the situation at outside is not in our hands, or is not in expected situation as far as this educational system is concerned. That is the reason education is facing huge crunch when compared to the rest of the professions in the entire globe, in particular India. So that is why we need to have more focus on both theory and laboratories. Okay, so how to have these kind of aspects? And another important thing I can tell you, that there are certain subjects like humanities and social sciences. They may not be having this kind of problem. But whereas for other things like science and technology, and definitely they should have this kind of practices also. Because for a longer period, we focus only on theory without considering our practices. Whatever we teach, they will go waste. So at least we should make an attempt to promote this kind of practice sessions along with theory. You may ask how the students can implement this kind of practices while they are just sitting at their places. If there is a will, there is a way. For all what you call this kind of simulation programming labs and all, no question, we can definitely have it all these things. For others, there are certain aspects we can consider. My suggestions. We need to implement hands-on projects under the mentorship of our teachers. Hands-on projects in the sense, it's also kind of innovation. Whatever we teach, and we know the in parallel, any kind of laboratory sessions are there. We should make the students to think of how to build a kind of what to call prototypes. It's a kind of best aspect in design thinking. And that's why we can make the students as the groups, as student learning groups. We should ask them to develop some sort of projects, mini projects, hands-on projects. That means they will have some sort of hands-on work on developing something or testing on something. But it should be done only in the mentorship of teacher. Without the mentorship, it's not possible. Next one, they must be exposed to online practice-based courses. Like if you see, there are certain online platforms which are also providing online practice courses. So you should identify what are the courses they have in their syllabi as far as these practicals are concerned, where it is available. Let us say, for example, Udacity is one of the biggest platforms which can provide these practice sessions. Springboard, this is another platform which can provide practice sessions. And even if you look at our India, if you look at Atal virtual labs, there is a huge collection of virtual labs. We should register for Atal labs. I think, I do not know whether many of the teachers are registered or not. We should register. We should work on. Then we should make the students to register for that. So like that, almost 60 to 70% of subjects in any domain, we can go for this kind of virtual labs. Once we go this kind of virtual labs, then obviously they will be getting more knowledge as far as this kind of procedural knowledge is concerned. Then once we go back to our college and all, they will get more confidence, and they will be saving our time also, and they will get this kind of what you call other practice-based knowledges. So experiential knowledge prior to this kind of what you call this kind of procedural knowledge, both will be helping them. So this exposure to this online practice, all these things we should do only with the interest. Only if there is a will, definitely we can find that kind of way, or else it's not possible. So practice-based courses and virtual labs, we need to beg the students to register so that that gap will be pacified up to some extent. I cannot say that it will be 100% pacified. Up to some extent, it will be pacified. So this is the sixth problem. Seventh problem, lack in face-to-face communication. Face-to-face communication among the students. Face-to-face communication, teacher to the instructor. Both are lack. Because of this lack in face-to-face communication, students sometimes they will abandon, they will bunk their classes. Simply, they can come, they can come on online, they can mute themselves, they can go for their own works. This is because of lack of face-to-face communication. And moreover, it is getting practiced because of bandwidth, net connectivity and all. And of course, I know these problems. Even many of the teachers, they're asking their students to just mute their video, mute their audio, or even sometimes they're not permitting the students to go for chat rooms also. So it is creating a kind of gap. So our physical appearance, our way and how we feel in the class, that should be clearly observed by the students. And how our students are paying attention to us, that should be clearly visible to us. Unless it is happening, that's what we call face-to-face communication. Unless it is happening, And this kind of e-learning will have another problem. So that is why the special advice is more utilization of short rooms, right from taking the attendance, right from cross-checking the students, right from asking the doubts to the students, questioning to the students. We need to have short rooms. And we need to have frequent video charts. I already told it in the earlier slide also. Video chart will create a very fantastic and energetic platform. And we should make it as a kind of a big practice, very good practice. And this is one of the key points why, in fact, the other platforms, online platforms, have become success as far as this kind of online course delivery is concerned. Next, we need to mandatorily implement discussion boards. These are very important. We need to implement discussion boards. We should continue with the discussion threads. Discussion board should be there. Discussion thread should be continued. For every contest, there should be a thread. That thread should continue. So it will create the real move. It will create the real engagement of the student. It will create a kind of special passion in this kind of learning. This is about this kind of pacification of face-to-face communication problem. Eighth problem. This e-learning is not being extended to all disciplines. Yes, it's not being extended to all disciplines. Let me tell you, if you look at social sciences or humanities, it's not an issue. And most of the things, even language also, and it's all oral presentation. So obviously, almost in 100% aspects, it is being successful for all these kind of subjects. Whereas for science, engineering, medicine, there some of the courses or some of the subjects are definitely facing problem. Let me tell you one thing. In engineering or any kind of diploma courses, of course, in sciences, industrial training is one of the very important aspects. And I also say internships is one of the important aspect. These industrial trainings are irreplaceable. Internships we are having through virtual, but for some branches it is being successful, for some branches it's not being successful. Similarly, if you look at this kind of medicine, so auto-spay, without auto-spay we cannot expect this kind of methods. So these are all biggest problems which are not being possible via e-learning. So that is why this e-learning is not being possible to extend to all disciplines in all the things. So the best solutions is we need to focus with the blended approach. It is mandatory for them because there is no other way for us. We need to make the students into different groups as far as the norms given by the central government, because they're given the different re-architecture for the classrooms with the proper physical distancing and personal protection. I'm not asking the 100% personal protection equipment as generally in hospitals and all do too. So the mandatory, responsible, minimal protection should be there, like masks, like face covers, gloves, sanitizers, or hand washes. I prefer hand washes rather than sanitizers. So the physical distancing, an appropriate number with an appropriate number in different batches. So if you can ask the students to participate in this kind of blended approach, the students, the faculty will also be attending the classes in the same way. Then obviously this blend approach will be one of the solutions for these kind of subjects. That means in blended environment, some aspects they will carry it out via online, they will be having at their house, and some aspects they will be having at these classes. And they need to increase practice sessions. Even for practice sessions, still we can divide into different batches, more number of batches, a limited number of capacity in the laboratories. so that we can continue these practices like auto spay. Even industrial experience also, we can have, slowly we should introduce, we can make the students to go for this kind of industrial trains, internships, slowly with all personal protection. As other aspects are also being carried out in all the different things, all the business aspects, all the offices, they already started. And we should make ourselves and we should make our students to be highly responsible, because we are making the students in different batches with very, very small numbers, almost with scattered physical distance. And we should continue. So or else it's not possible to extend this kind of e-learning to all branches. Okay, yes, this is the suggestion for this 8th problem. Next one, very, very important thing. It's almost a social consciousness. Unless the institutions, unless the teachers are having social consciousness, never this problem will be eliminated. Inaccessible to computer illiterates. There are so many computer illiterates. Online learning, whether they are using mobiles or laptop or desktop, whatever, simply we basically call it as computer literacy or mobile literacy. And there are certain issues, because India having huge count of students from the rural background, even semi like hamlets, there is inaccessibility for computers, because of which there are more number of computer illiterates. I'm not asking about, it's general talk. I'm not talking about the engineering students, because many of the engineering, or even the sciences with the computer alliances, definitely they are having this 4 computer access and they know all these things. There are other different branches, and purely humanities, there are so many other aspects like law, something like that. So definitely there are certain issues where we can call them as computer illiterates. That means because of their lack of purpose, and they must not have exposed, and that is one of the biggest problems, inaccessible to computer illiterates. So for this particular thing, we need to focus on that, because each institution, I think we are having different units like social development organization, social promotion organization like NSS we may be having, and Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. I think many of the institutions must have registered with this. The very important thing and the objective of this Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is to have a kind of adoption of the villages, where in fact we can identify the villages, identify the problems, where absolutely we can concentrate on the problem and to eliminate the problem. So via this kind of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, NSS, like that, we should have self-initiation to do on this like this, from the institution side and from the teacher side, or else it's not possible. So this inaccessible to computer illiterates can be waived off only with vision to promote this kind of social consciousness. So how to avoid this? We need to implement more sensitization towards computer literacy. That means we should develop computer literacy. We should promote the computer literacy. As if you look at this kind of NEP 2020, so one of the biggest points of the vision of NEP 2020 is to uplift the literacy rate in higher education, minimum of 55% by 2030. So like that, we should also have a kind of, in our purview, we should try to have implementation of sensitization towards this computer literacy. Or else, where our students are being focused more in the particular villages, there itself we should try to have this computer literacy. That is one of the important thing. Sensitization towards computer literacy among the youth or among the students, irrespective of specialization. Next, we need to rapidly implement the practices like Digital India. Digital India, Indian government started with a huge vision. And of course, many of the things are happening. So many apps are developed and so many electronic goods are being promoted to start initiation in India. And so many companies, so many firms have started, so many startups have coming up. So like this, these are all the outcomes of Digital India. Even institutions, they should rapidly implement the practice of Digital India at their own respective constraints. Next, we need to create human computer centers. This is very important. Generally, if you look at any village, there will be small village. There will be some sort of library where some newspapers may be there, some magazines may be there. Like that, we can take a kind of responsibility to create a kind of computer centers where students can come there, they can learn. So these are all also a kind of development of computer literacy coming under one of the best practices of institution. Even if you look at any kind of accreditation process or any promoting activities or outreach programs, for everything you can also quote it as one of the best practices, because there is a problem, there is an issue, we are providing a solution. So we need to create human computer centers. I don't mean that it is the responsibility of the institutions alone, and it is the responsibility of the governments also, but I don't mean that it is the responsibility of only governments. We should also have a focus because we are being supported by government in so many aspects. So this is how, in fact, we can avoid the problem of computer illiteracy. So coming for the 10th problem we identified here in this particular survey, lack of quality assurance and accreditation. Quality assurance is very, very important aspects. Why, in fact, I am telling all of these things? There is no cross-checking. Let us say, for example, there are so many other platforms also, though we started online teaching very recently, even for the long back, there are so many other platforms available here. But quality assurance and accreditation of this kind of online platforms is the question. Why, in fact, I am focusing on quality assurance? Being the teacher, let me consider myself. I am preparing my materials, e-materials, e-courses, something like that. So I am thoroughly verifying myself. I mean to say, an instructor, while they're preparing their materials, while they're delivering the materials, they are just verifying on their own. But there is no other cross-check by any same domain experts or the colleagues. So if I do some mistake, if I commit some mistake, it will go on. It will percolate. It will percolate to all the student fraternity, the entire system. So like that, that kind of problem is there. And any online platform, if you see, and I'm not sure that none of the platforms, online platforms, are taking this accreditation as serious. Even in due course, definitely our online sessions will be having special accreditation activities. So we have to consider these two important things like quality assurance in online materials, online delivery, and accreditation of our online course is very important. So to avoid this problem, we need to adopt quality assurance by having a special and exclusive thorough verifications of our e-contents by other domain experts or colleagues or any third party. Next one, each and every online activity we should get accredited by registered bodies by online methodologies. That means whatever we follow these online methodologies, they should also get accredited so that it will give confidence. Let us say, for example, Creatrix. This is one of the very important body which will go for this kind of, it's a registered body for accreditation of online methodologies. So if our online methodology is being delivered by any institution or any exclusive platform are getting accredited, it will get a lot of impact on others. So this is another important issue. So like that, we need to concentrate on quality assurance and of course accreditation. I may be advanced to tell you that our online methodology should be accredited, but it is very important. Who are taking initiation or who are coming forward for this kind of accreditation for online methodologies, they will always be forward in all aspects, because this kind of online methodology or virtual learning is going to be a big part of our educational process. This is about the 10th problem. Friends, so these are all the different issues are the challenges as far this particular typical survey is concerned. And let us accept all these challenges, and whatever the suggestions we have given, we discussed here, and still more you can also incorporate. And we should see that all these challenges are mitigated and being converted into advantages, so that whatever we are doing here as the best practice, that should be considered our online or virtual mode of learning is going to become a big success, as in the case of our conventional mode. So friends, this is about our virtual learning made easy, innovative solutions with root cause analysis for crucial branches. Friends, this is my talk about this kind of virtual learning made easy, where in fact we identified via our survey of different issues, and I tried my best at my survey and at my research and all to provide the best solutions, and which will really help you all to make our particular virtual learning a big success. I hope it will be useful for you. But thing is, we should accept the fact, as you already know, that this teaching learning process is the dynamic process. So every day, in every class, at every moment, for every subject, for every content, there is a chance that we may expect some sort of challenges. So we should get ready to accept these challenges, and we should work out on that particular challenges, and we should provide some sort of atypical solutions which will be creating a best possible impact on this kind of our learners on the society. Because this particular teaching learning is a part of our active research. That is why, as an active researcher, and I selected this kind of online education research is also one of my favorite fields to promote this kind of online education to be in the better roads. So I hope that we will continue this kind of research, and will be developing some sort of solutions which will really have a lot of impact to provide and to generate the best knowledge society. So this is my talk about this kind of virtual learning made easy. And with another talk, another important talk, I will meet you again. And till then, you can stay tuned to my channel. Please do subscribe my channel, give your likes, shares, comments, participate in discussions, so that the discussions will help me, help you, and together. And of course, it will be useful to still do my works in better way for better sessions. So thank you all for listening to me, and wishing you all very happy Teachers Day in advance. And all the teachers, they are having the best minds in the society. They are the builders of the nation, builders of the society. And I am wishing once again happy Teachers Day. I feel proud that in advance to this Teachers Day, a day, I am just presenting this talk. I feel so happy. I'm proud myself as a teacher. And Jay, thank you.